Welcome back to Hannity. Things are not looking good for Hillary Clinton. Now, Catherine Herridge is reporting that the FBI is expanding its investigation into Clinton's private email server. According to Catherine's sources, quote, the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of private email as Secretary of State has now expanded to look at whether the possible intersection of Clinton Foundation work and State Department business may have violated public corruption laws. Here with reaction from the American Center for Law and Justice, Jay Sekulow, author of the new book,
Hey, Sean.
The Nixon Effect, How Richard Nixon's Presidency Fundamentally Changed American Politics. Doug Schoen and Fox News contributor, Washington Times columnist, Monica Crowley. Good to see you all.
Good to
Jay,
see you.
let's start from a legal perspective.
Hey,
Rudy has identified, Rudy Giuliani, former prosecutor before he became mayor, has identified anywhere between 15 and 17 statutes that ought to be investigated here. Now, according to this report, too, they've got over 100 full-time agents and 50 part-time agents looking into this, and it's been going on for months. Now, Joe DeGenova, well-respected, lawyer in his own right, he thinks that an indictment would happen within 60 days. Thoughts?
Well, I think, look, the FBI, it's pretty clear, with 100 agents involved, is doing a thorough top-to-bottom review of the situation. At the end of the day, I think this, what Catherine's been reporting about this possibility of public corruption, basically a quid pro quo, that what happened at the Clinton Foundation with either donations or offers for speeches and so forth, and then State Department action for those same governments, could create certainly another area of concern that would be criminal. And I think if you look at it in total right now, the FBI is looking at the complete package. They look at the evidence and they say, does that evidence lead to violations of certain statutory codes under Title 18, which is the criminal code? And I think Rudy's right. We've said it too. There's probably 16 to 18. There's probably more now when you're looking at the intersection of the foundation and all of this. I think it's as serious. I think there's no doubt about that. The end of the day, this will become a political decision, though, Sean. It should not. The FBI could present the case, but ultimately the Attorney General is going to have to sign off on it, and that presents a political...
James, the FBI director can present it with a recommendation of indictment or just send it without comment. Now, if he sends it with the recommendation, look, to quote the inside sources, pressure is growing within the FBI, Doug. And one source is saying the FBI agents would be screaming if prosecution is not pursued, especially in light of how General Petraeus was treated.
Sure.
And this is a far worse offense.
And I don't see Hillary being indicted. So far, no show of criminal intent. And I don't think Loretta Lynch or Obama are going to recommend an indictment of Hillary Clinton. Do you, Sean? The president. This is politics, isn't it?
If that is the case, Monica Crowley, the FBI will be so outraged that all of this is going to be leaked, all of past cases will be reviewed, and we will know in America that there's a two-tier justice system.
You will have a major revolt on your hands in the FBI, which is something that I don't think that this president wants. Look, Sean, I was the first person back in August in my column in the Washington Times to lay out a whole scenario because of the long history of bad blood between the Obamas and the Clintons about how Barack Obama was essentially using the FBI investigation as a legal and political vise to squeeze Mrs. Clinton. Now we hear that it has another dimension to it, which is that they're looking into the possibility of public corruption. What I am hearing from my source, who has not steered me wrong yet, is that of the two highly problematic documents that we know about so far that have been released, that the FBI is looking at that reached the highest classified designation of top secret, one of which involved satellite data looking at the North Korean nuclear program, that document in particular is called into question in terms of why it was removed from the SCIF for her possession in order to serve the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons' business interests. If that turns out to be
that's what
true,
they're now. This is now the expanded investigation. Look, to quote DeGenova, Jay, it would, if the FBI decided it had more than enough evidence to indict, and Loretta Lynch fails to do so, especially with the FBI's background work and investigation here, it would create a crisis within our government unseen since Watergate. Agreed?
Well, I think, and much worse, because if you've got the entire FBI, look, you're talking about top secret documents being removed. You're talking about potential public corruption. I mean, if you look at Watergate, I'm not defending Watergate, but it was a bad, a third-rate break-in, and it had its own elements where the Nixon administration was going to try to use the IRS. They did not. Here we know the whole history with the IRS and the targeting. But if you look at just the facts of this, and I think this is where the focus has to be, as the FBI is investigating and they look at the facts and they put it together, are those facts evidence for a violation of criminal law? And if, of course, we don't have that evidence, the evidence is held by the FBI, but what we're hearing, it's hard to believe it would not be. But I'm with you. I think, look, Doug raises a valid point. There's going to be politics in this, Sean. Here's the real question. Will the President of the United States allow his former Secretary of State to be indicted?
I think he's answered that question.
That should not be the question, but that is going to be the question.
This really shouldn't even be his decision. This should be Loretta Lynch's. Now, we have a poll out, a Rasmussen poll, that shows that 46% of likely voters think a candidate should stop campaigning if charged with a felony. Donald Trump is begging the FBI to investigate because he wants to run against Bernie Sanders. Watch this.
I would love, please, FBI, please, go after Hillary. I want to run against Bernie. Oh, that's a dream come true, this guy.
Sean, it's not going to happen. If, and I underscore, if something happens to Hillary, you will see Joe Biden in the race in a second.
Wait a minute.
Look, they'll fix the DNC rules.
Wait a minute. It's not the DNC rules. These are state rules.
They don't care about that.
They don't care about the law? These are state laws that you're talking about.
Look, just like they're going to try to hurt Donald at the convention, they'll try to hurt Bernie Sanders.
I don't know. That's a stretch.
As I don't think so, Sean. For a very long time, there's only one person driving this bus on the Democratic side, and it's the President of the United States and what he wants. He does not want Mrs. Clinton to be the nominee. No.
He does not.
And that's why once it goes out of the legal process, out of the hands of Comey and the FBI, it becomes a political matter. It goes to Loretta Lynch.
And Loretta Lynch doesn't indict.
Barack Obama and Valerie Jarrett, who do not want Mrs. Clinton to be the nominee.
They want Bernie?
They will make sure that she is indicted. And it's not going to be Bernie.
It's going to be Joe Biden. All right,
or it will be somebody else.
Wait a minute. But the statutory deadlines to get on the ballot
it doesn't matter.
Is passing.
It doesn't matter because neither
can the
party
DNC
will have
amend
a
its rules?
candidate
That'll be the
until the
question.
convention.
Exactly. They will
amend
their rules.
Jay?
They will amend their rules.
They'll go all the way to
They'll amend their rules. Don't state legislators have a say in this too?
You got super delegates.
But they're not going to want a situation. I mean, first of all, we're assuming this is going to happen. Look, I think if, in fact, the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton ends up getting indicted, I think the DNC is going to be in a panic mode. They're probably already thinking through this, though, Doug. I can't imagine they're not. That what scenario would be, and they'll amend the rules. Whether they can or can't, the idea is it's still a private organization. It's not the government here. So it's a different, set of scenarios.
Ultimately, Hillary will not be indicted. The president has said it's not a national security problem. And you know what? Look, with the IRS, Sean, wasn't that outrageous?
Yeah.
Did they get away with it? They'll try again.
The Clintons have gotten away with a lot more than I would have bet.
And keep in mind that Joe Biden just said, as of a couple of days ago, he regrets it every day.
Yep.
All right.
There's a reason he said that.
Every day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And coming up next tonight on this busy news night here on Hannity.
They're backward, even dangerous. So ask yourself, who's the one candidate who can stop them? Hillary Clinton, tested and tough. To stop them, stand with her.
Hillary slamming her 2016 GOP rivals in a new attack ad. Tucker Carlson, Rich Lowry, they're going to have reaction. That's coming up next. Later, Hollywood liberal Sean Penn under heavy criticism for secretly meeting with the notorious drug kingpin El Chapo. Really? Maybe he could have given authorities his location. Geraldo is here to weigh in and more. Straight ahead.